Now, a Nigerian public interest group, the Egalitarian Mission Africa, has brought a case before the ECOWAS Community Court of Justice, seeking to stop West African regional leaders from deploying troops in Niger Republic. In notifying the chairman of ECOWAS and Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, the group stated that the authority of heads of state and government of ECOWAS is obligated to adhere to Article 22 of the Protocol on the Community Court of Justice, which mandates that when a dispute is brought before the court, member states or institutions of the community shall refrain from any action likely to aggravate or militate against its settlement. An initial deadline from the regional bloc to Niger's new military rulers to restore President Mohamed Bazoum has passed, and that happened on Sunday evening. But Chairman of ECOWAS, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, insists that the military option is still on the table. In addition, Tinubu announced the imposition of a series of financial sanctions against individuals and interests that have business to do with the Nigerian coup leaders. Arise analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to discuss the new sanction regime on the Niger junta, emerging developments around the coup, as well as looking forward on how this might all pan out eventually. Good to have you on this day. Welcome, Mr. Sobowale.
Pleasure to be here as usual.
Great to have you.
Right.
Now, of course, like you rightly heard, financial sanctions against individuals and entities have been ordered, and the president insists that the military option is still on the table. He's been described as a listening leader, but are you content with how his response has been regarding the approach that should be taken in this coup situation?
Well, his response has been mainly that of providing leadership for ECOWAS and to deter coup plotters or those who attack democracy. It is a step in the right direction. It is in line with the policy of ECOWAS from the 1990s, when we had ECOMOG intervention in Liberia, we had it in Sierra Leone, we had it in the Gambia. You see, these interventions have largely been to restore democracy. They have not been successful in Mali in recent times. They have not been successful in Mali. They have not been successful in Guinea, Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that it will not be successful here. What is happening here is that the Nigerian president is wearing two caps, ECOWAS president and Nigeria's president. And Nigeria is a neighbor of Niger. And we do a lot of trade with Niger. In fact, this season, you see, we supply grains, Nigerian farmers in the north, the Hausas. You see, we have deep cultural, religious ties with the Niger, as well as contiguity. So we do a lot of trade. For this is season for them to take grain, to buy grains for us. So you see, once you have closed our borders now, if you go there, there will be trailers piled up. You get me? With vegetable, perishable vegetable items, they are taken to Niger. But the issue that I want to talk about is the morality of what is on the ground. You don't go against your neighbor. You get me? To impose a leader on them. But then, Nigeria is not doing it in isolation. In fact, they have, so far, their deadline has been the fight, and they are meeting tomorrow. They can keep the resolve to deter. And I will be surprised if they will not want to go in. Because the coup plotters are asking for a fight. And they have defied ECOWAS delegation, African Union delegation, United. We don't live in an isolated world. Nobody does that. And you see, ECOWAS, and Nigeria in particular, has to do something so that they will not be seen as having lost face, regardless of what, because these are leaders. Leadership is not at a stage, it's not a democratic duty, because the ball stops or the ball stops on your table, and it's not a game of numbers. What is right is not a game of numbers. One person can be right, but Nigeria is not acting in isolation. And then I spoke of morality. You see, in international relations, there are no permanent enemies or friends, but permanent interests. Get me? And the morality amongst nations is different from morality amongst individuals. You don't backbite or you don't betray a friend. But when interests change in international relations, you go and do what is correct, diplomatically, militarily correct. That was what George Bush did when Saddam invaded Kuwait. They amassed the largest number of coalition forces in the world, and they drove him out. They did it in Panama when the rascal, they seized power, and they drove him out. You see, ECOWAS is on the right path. It should not be deterred by people trying to rake up ethnic, religious, and distracting views. Let the ECOWAS people meet and decide. You see what is happening between Russia and Kuwait? Putin defied international law, just like he did successfully under Obama in Crimea and got away with it. But see where he is now.
Yes.
It's NATO facing him, and the EU, and the coalition with you. Yes, and the thing is almost a year.
All right, Mr. Sobowale, if I may comment in now, you talked about the resolution, that resoluteness of the ECOWAS to act. But in reality, how effective would sanctions be? You've already talked about the individual efforts being made by Nigeria itself. So is this predicated on support from remaining democratic ECOWAS states? What is the level of commitment on their part as well?
You see, the states that are not on board,
yes,
where you have military regimes, that is predictable. They will be boss of the same feather with Niger, I hope. But if ECOWAS allows them, you know what is called the domino theory? It means if one falls, the others will be falling like that. So ECOWAS must provide leadership, resolution, and firmness. Get me? You should be able to know. They are military people. Most of the Francophone leaders, military rulers, have been in training, same places. The same thing, UK trained, they've been to Sandos, India. So they know each other. And I think they know each other's strength. But nobody wants war.
Yeah.
But you don't want the peace of the graveyard either. Or a situation whereby brigands and thugs, leading people, and people will turning out on the streets to support them. So there must be international law and order. And let it be clear that Nigeria is providing leadership. Yes.
Well, as we round up, Mr. Sobowale, we know you do a lot of predicting. Sometimes it turns out the way that you anticipate.
Right.
Can you let us know likely outcomes and implications in terms of how this ends?
Yeah, let's wait till tomorrow. Whatever resolution they take tomorrow. Before I said, don't make a threat you cannot carry out. That has happened. Now, let's see their resolve. But, for people saying because of the ties we have, after tomorrow, I will be able to stick my neck out on how.
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
Yes.
Okay, so on a little bit of specifics, briefly, Mr. Sobowale, airlines are spending longer flights across Africa. We heard about that due to blockade of the country's airspace. So is that a plus for ECOWAS, or it's hurting ECOWAS?
But I just told you, we hurt ourselves. We hurt our farmers. Yes, because we are neighbors. We are tied together. It's a bitter step to take. But then...
But a necessary one, you think?
A necessary one. Because it would be a bad example.
Yeah.
It's allowed to stand.
The domino effect, as you said.
Yes.
But there's some that are, I know you're talking about not applying the ethnic approach and the ties that we have to Niger. What about the effects that actually taking military action could potentially have for Nigeria as a country?
If you take military action, it's the army that will mobilize. I have confidence in our army. And you know, Boko Haram is in Niger too, in the Sahel.
Yeah.
You get me? They are there, but maybe inadvertently, there may be unintended consequences. And we kill two birds with one stone. If Boko Haram will know troops are moving that area to Ramus into Kenya, you know, West African troops, these are people who speak their language, people who have they know. And maybe we can learn one or two things from how to strategize to eliminate terrorism.
In fact, we've been hearing even some, terrorist activities even within Mali and all this other Niger recently. Mr. Dayo, Sobowale, Rise News Analyst.